know where this game went wrong. I agree with what you guys said at the start. I was listening. The lack of shots early was a little bit surprising. It's not like they were running the ball particularly well. It looked like to me that Iowa came into this thing, Don, and said, hey, we feel like we're going to be able to run at will against this team. And when they weren't early, they didn't pivot quick enough. And that would be my criticism, whether that be of Tim Lester or if Kirk Ferentz was involved in some of that game planning there in the first quarter, if some of that was kind of just mapped out pre-game, if you will. I don't have an answer to that. I keep calling it a pick six to everybody that I talk to because the interception was the difference in this game. All right? I mean, it just was. On the scoreboard, that was the difference in the game. Iowa caught a huge break getting the fumble recovery on the muffed punt. You and I, Kyle, we don't know if that was actually touched by the Iowa State punt guy, but it doesn't matter. It was the right call on the field. It looked like it was, but it was called a fumble on the field. Iowa recovered it. So it should have been an even split as it relates to momentum with the two turnovers. But, Don, how big was that interception from Mark in that second quarter? And I think it was Caden Weegan that slipped on that play.
Yeah.
What went wrong on the play besides just Weegan slipping on the field?
Well, coaching receivers, I've always told them when you're running any kind of comeback route, you have to show speed. You have to scare them deep. You have to convince them that you're going deep. Otherwise, they're sitting on the route. And if it's an All-American corner out there playing that's got so much confidence in his ability, he's not getting out, he's not giving you a cushion, then you sure as hell better not be running a comeback. So Cooper was sitting on the route, and then on top of that, Weegan, he was awkward with the way he ran the route, the way he stuck the top of the route. He kind of stumbled coming out of it. Frankly, Cooper would have been on it. It would have been a contested play either way, I think. But the fact that he stumbled a little bit made it easier for Cooper, obviously.
Should it have been thrown?
Didn't contest the ball.
Should it have been thrown?
I'd like to believe that Martin would have realized, of course, it all happens in a split second. Maybe when Martin let go of the ball, he wasn't really in the stumble mode yet, I don't think. If he would have seen him stumbling, I think he probably would have reloaded, even if it meant just pulling the ball down and running for a yard. So I don't think he had any idea he was going to stumble. When the ball was released, I think the ball was out of his hands before he perceived the stumble. And again, it might not have mattered anyway. That's how he was sitting on the route. Nice play by Cooper. But the bottom line, of course, if you can't push a corner out of there, you better not try to throw underneath him.
How much do you look at Tim Lester right now and say, you got to be better? Because I'm a big Tim Lester guy, but I'm all for the buck stops with the coach and the coordinator, and Brian Ferentz dealt with his share of blame. We're only 2 games in, but after a loss, it's a fair question to ask. How much do you point the finger at Tim?
Well, let me say this, Corey. Here's the way I always thought. Here's the way Coach Fry always thought. If you can't find a weakness on the part of the other team, then you simply haven't looked hard enough and long enough. Go back and look again, because everybody has a weakness. Somewhere you can find a weakness. And that's what you strive to do. You continually look under rocks, if you will. You're looking under rocks for a solution. And if you haven't found very many, if any, you better keep looking. If that means you got to spend a few more hours in the office, you better do it, because the game plan's at stake. And if you don't have a good game plan, then good luck winning, because that game plan is designed to give us the very best chance to win. And today it looked like we didn't have any good ideas about how to get the ball downfield.
I mean, is that why would that be? Why would that be? How do you not have any good idea? I'm not saying that that's actually the case, that they had no good ideas, but how could you even not have good ideas about getting the ball down the field in such a big game? I don't quite understand why there weren't shots taken earlier in the game. I mean, what would be the explanation for that other than they're dropping a lot of guys back? And
well, here's one possibility. You might ask, why couldn't we hit on any of those good ideas? Maybe we had a good idea. We called a good idea. It was based on the last game or the K-State game. That's why we had the good idea. We saw it on video, right? And maybe they simply corrected it. Let's give them credit maybe for correcting that good idea that we saw based on film. They're no longer as vulnerable as they were. The reason we put it in the game plan is because it was there. You could see it on video. Maybe they got it corrected. So I'll give some credit to Iowa State maybe for cleaning up their mistakes.
Tell us what the head man had to say after another close loss in the Cy-Hawk game, in a game where turnovers hurt them, but they had missed opportunities with a tie ball game late in this one.
Yeah, basically, I asked him. I go, the concern about 2 straight slow starts offensively and things of that nature, and he kind of just attributed to that Iowa State's a really good defensive team, and that's what kind of was the cause today of their struggles on offense, was that Iowa State's just a really good defensive team. He thought Mark Gronowski played better, still has room to grow, but felt like he played better. I don't sense that he's panicked about moving to a different quarterback at all. I didn't get that sense from him. I think he feels like Mark made some progress today, passing game and just playing with more confidence overall.
Don, did moving to a different quarterback ever cross your mind at any point? Sure didn't cross my mind at any point tonight after the game. I think the $1 million question, and I'll be interested to hear if this was asked of Kirk, but Don, it felt like there was a lot of time for Mark to throw almost all day.
Yeah.
And so the question is, and I'm sitting there, and it's hard to watch two things, right? That's why you have game film. But I'm sitting there at Jack Trice thinking, okay, is it receivers not getting open? Is Mark not seeing them? What did you see more? I know you're watching it on television, but did it feel like Mark was just holding onto the ball too long? What was going wrong with receivers?
Well, a fair amount of it was drop 8. They rushed through drop 8, so there are a lot of defenders out there, and they got more defenders than you got receivers, that's for sure. So it's not easy. And of course, it's on the receivers to find a way, even if it is zone coverage, you try to get to the softest possible spot in the zone. At some point, you still get open, especially when you now have the luxury of having a little extra time, right?
Right. Tom, what did Kirk say about it? Did he talk about receiver play and just, obviously pass pro is pretty good. Defending less bodies in general, but what did he say about just the lack of downfield attack?
Yeah, he really didn't say a whole lot about that. Mark was asked about it, and he just felt like they took the shot on the one play where he felt like maybe that could have been a touchdown if Seth doesn't get, but the guy was smart to take the PI and on the deep ball to Seth. But otherwise, he was just like, basically they took what they were giving him and tried to find, guys that were open. But I kind of felt like he was holding on the ball too long. At some point, you just got to take a shot or look to find another day. He did try to extend the plays with his legs, and but guys just maybe they weren't open. I didn't see any egregious ones where he's like, oh, this guy's just standing here all by himself. So it's really hard to say, but I keep wondering, are the receivers able to get themselves open? Are they running the routes correctly? Are they not able to get the separation? I don't know. It's hard for me to tell, but I thought the ground game was a little bit better today after that slow start. I think the slow start is the thing that's concerned me the most, is that this 2 games in a row where they've just come out of the gate and it has just been a 3 and out and not looking good in any way, shape, or form in those first 2-3 drives. And that is, even last game, they at least had a good drive to start the game. They came out fairly smooth. Today it was just not good. And then they finally got going after a little bit, at least got some points on the board after that punt play. And at the end of the half, that was a really good drive that they put together, probably the best drive of the year so far. But after that, It was just they just can't seem to sustain a drive.